Woke up at 2 a.m. again this morning, but like having waves of inspiration and visions of the future, largely chats with, like, imagine it was just not even me trying to imagine being on the Diary of a CEO podcast with Stephen Bartlett being interviewed and what questions he's asking and what my answers are going to be. It wasn't like me trying to imagine, it was just that happening in my head for like a few hours this morning. Yeah, I listened to a few episodes recently, and I always thought with Non-Conformity Company, I was like, it kind of evolved from me testing business ideas to me then thinking, well, if I could do as many as I could, it do like a challenge in a year, in 100 in 1,000 days. Then it's evolved into like me trying to educate people in the best way, and the way that I'm going to do that has evolved with the blueprints being split down into the three M's: the motive, the model, and the money. The model and the money side of things are nicely done. It was the motives I was also considering this morning, and just a lot of the conversations I was having in my head were about the different motives for actually starting business. And then that got me going down, because our message is, yeah, by all means, start a business just to make money, cold hard cash. Nothing wrong with that, because it buys you freedom, it buys you time, you're in control, and that's fine. But I think there are many, many, many people out there with passions, interests, hobbies, visions, and untapped potential to start things that aren't necessarily about money. Money will be involved. Money could come to support it. Money could come later on. Different income streams could evolve later down the line. But just simply bringing people together, doing some good for the world, exploring an interest to teach or learn something yourself. All of these things can turn into businesses. And you don't necessarily have to have the money side of things or the business side of things sorted. If you can just bring a group of people together, start helping a group of people, or start teaching a group of people, or start learning something and sharing what you're learning, that's going to build an audience. I think we're going into more niche communities next year and beyond. We're going into more authentic content, and you don't need millions of followers to make money. There are lots of people that I've followed. I'm going to profile on the Non-Conformity Company channel case studies of people with maybe several thousand followers that are making enough to just do their passion. If you are an artist or a graphic designer, or you just like making things, you could have your designs on thousands of products without having to spend a penny, maybe a few pennies, but very, very little compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago when I decided to start a t-shirt company, etc. You'd have to buy it all up front, guess the sizes, have all this inventory and rent and printing and time. The game has changed so much. If you just like making things, the Etsy marketplace nowadays, people are doing so well. I remember trying to get just cushions for this van, simple square cushions made to measure. They had a 3-month waiting list. Like, I only had 4.5 weeks to develop this. So I thought, let's just get something off the shelf. But well done. Well done. And their message was just like, they didn't even engage. They just said, look, don't even go any further with paying me money or putting an order in unless you're willing to wait this long. It's like, wow. So there are just so many opportunities, and we hope to put something together in the simplest way possible for many people to understand just the amount of sheer options and opportunities that are out there for people that maybe hadn't even thought about business, that maybe would then be inspired to begin, so they could really just carry on with doing what they're doing. Some people just want to draw all day. That's fine. Carry on drawing, but just upskill a little bit. Set up a Shopify store, get a free theme, plug it into printify.com, learn about accounts. You can start outsourcing the bits that you don't like later. But these new skills, especially for an arty, right brain creative type, learn some logical stuff. That'll make your art better, by the way, as well, because you're more balanced. And then just put your designs on thousands of products and see what people like. If they don't buy it, you don't pay anything. Zero risk. So we're really hoping to present all of these options with the tools and the blueprints of exactly how you do it. So you don't have to think, how do I do this? It's all just laid out. So yeah, last supper tonight. The van is pretty much loaded. We've got loads of lovely snacks. We visited 2 bakeries today. Small Food Bakery in Nottingham, and we were there first opening for 9:30, which was an achievement. And yeah, we got some nice bread, and some pastries, cakes, mince. No, we didn't get mince pies from there. We got some pickled cauliflower, loads of lovely things just to be eating along the way, because we don't want to be stopping off at some service station or a roadside cafe. No, no, no. We got all of our meals and a load of snacks. Then we went to another pop-up bakery and got these amaretti mince pies. We were first in line, and literally when they opened, a queue went down the street. These mince pies just sell out. They're incredible. They're £2.50 for one, but they're worth it. In the Mill Co-op, actually, in Nottingham, which has evolved a lot into a really nice business. That's a community interest business. The bread mill, the equipment, the oven, it's all owned by the community. So if that organization even folded, there's a backup company that inherits all of that stuff. So the company, even if it messes up or there's bad things that happen, the community will always own these assets, these things. So it can't be stolen, it can't be, used unfairly. And that is another really interesting business model. There's people then within that can have their own micro businesses, making a living. There's a baker there called Rob. He bakes, 3 days a week, say, sells out his pretzels, sells out the mince pies, sells out everything. He loves doing it. And he doesn't have to work in a job 9 to 5 that he doesn't want to do. He gets to bake and create 3 days a week and make a living within this CIC, this community interest company. So that's another business model we'll be profiling on Nonconformity Blueprints. I'm very excited. And yeah, just to finish, I was going to do it today, but no way, because it will take quite a while. I might do it over a few series. I might do it while we're traveling. I might do it when I actually get to France and just think about it on the journey. But I was actually thinking one of the questions that Stephen Bartlett is going to come up, and it came up in some of the conversations, just wild, was like my business background. And obviously people are going to wonder that. It's like, well, what makes you an expert and all this? I mean, it doesn't really matter because I'll have created something amazing. It's just like, well, there it is, take it or leave it. This is great. But people will be curious, won't they? So, and this channel really is an opportunity for me to get better at communicating, reason out my thoughts, and yeah. So what I'm going to do is a little mini series, because it might take a few videos, of my business background, my history, because that was just going over all of that today, from very young age and all the interests, and coming from a family of business people, and just the books that I've read, the passions, the experiments that I've tried, just many, 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 many things. So there's a big background, which I think it'll be healthy for me to go back over and make some content for yeah.